Hey everyone! Before we get started, I want to sincerely ask that you please watch this complete explainer and consider commenting, subscribing, and sharing to support my growth in this new era. I'm learning slowly, so your support really means the world to me. All right, let's set the scene. Somewhere over the Pacific Northwest, a man steps out of an airplane door at 10,000 feet into a freezing rainstorm at night. He's wearing a sharp business suit, a parachute, and literally $200,000 strapped right to his chest. No one sees him land, no body is ever found, no wreckage. I mean, here we are 54 years later. The FBI's tested DNA, questioned over 1,000 suspects, chased leads all across the country, and they still don't know his real name.
Okay, let's dive into this, because we're looking at the only unsolved commercial hijacking in American history. Think about that. A man pulls off this incredibly brazen crime, leaps out into the pitch-black sky, and simply vanished. How does someone just disappear without a single trace? Well, to understand this incredible mystery, we have to go back to the very beginning, to a day that honestly started like any other.
Section 1. The man named Dan Cooper. Boarding flight 305. So picture this. It's November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving. At Portland International Airport, this guy in a dark suit and sunglasses tells the ticket agent his name is Dan Cooper. So the crucial point here is the sheer simplicity of it all. Back in '71, air travel was just totally different. Cooper pays exactly $18.52, in cash, by the way, for a one-way ticket to Seattle. No metal detectors, zero ID checks. He just grabs his ticket and strolls right to the gate. He boards Northwest Orient Flight 305, which is a Boeing 727. Now keep that in mind, because this specific aircraft is going to become incredibly important. It features an aft staircase, a rear set of stairs built right into the tail that can actually be lowered while the plane is still up in the air. Anyway, Cooper takes seat 18C near the back. He orders a bourbon and soda, lights up a cigarette. He looks completely unremarkable, just a calm, middle-aged businessman heading home for the holidays. But then, the atmosphere completely shifts, and everything changes.
Section 2. The hijacking of Flight 305, a mid-air ransom.
This mundane Thanksgiving travel instantly transforms into a high-stakes crisis. Let's move to this timeline and see how this builds, because the pacing is wild. At 3 p.m., Cooper hands a note to a flight attendant. By 5:39 p.m., the plane actually lands in Seattle to meet his demands. Just a couple of hours later, at 7:40 p.m., they take off again, this time toward Reno. And finally, at 8:13 p.m., those aft stairs are deployed midair. It's just a rapid, highly calculated escalation. Going back to that 3 p.m. moment for a second, when Cooper actually hands the note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner, she kind of assumes it's just a businessman giving her his phone number, right? She actually slips it into her pocket unread. But Cooper leans in and tells her, "Miss, you'd better look at that note." It literally reads, "I have a bomb in my briefcase." And to prove it, he pops the case open, just enough for her to see 8 red cylinders and a tangle of wires. He then calmly relays his demands. He wants $200,000 in negotiable American currency and 4 parachutes. And the authorities actually agree. When the plane touches down in Seattle at 5:39 p.m., Cooper gets exactly what he asked for. In exchange, he lets all 36 passengers go, but he keeps the flight crew on board and orders them to take off again, heading south toward Reno, Nevada.
Section 3. A leap into the dark. The Vanishing Act.
So, the plane takes off again, but this time they're flying at an incredibly low 10,000 feet, heading straight into a violent, freezing rainstorm over the rugged Pacific Northwest. At 8:13 p.m., the cockpit crew notices this sudden change in air pressure. The whole plane shudders. Cooper has actually lowered the rear staircase mid-flight, and, still wearing his business suit, clutching his parachute and all that ransom money, he jumps out into the freezing night sky.
Section 4. The FBI's 54-year manhunt, tracking a ghost.
This brings us to Norjack, which was the massive FBI investigation that literally scoured the dense Washington forests. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredibly sparse amount of physical evidence investigators actually had to work with. Inside the cabin, all Cooper left behind was a JCPenney clip-on tie, a mother-of-pearl tie clip, 2 of the parachutes, and 8 cigarette butts. And tragically for modern forensic science, those cigarette butts were accidentally destroyed years later while sitting in storage in Las Vegas.
For nearly a decade, the FBI found absolutely nothing out there in the wilderness. Then, in 1980, this incredible breakthrough happened.
An 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram was digging a fire pit on a beach along the Columbia River, and he uncovers 3 bundles of decaying $20 bills. It totaled exactly $5,800. The serial numbers were checked, and boom, it was a perfect match for the ransom money given to D.B. Cooper. But it didn't lead them to the man himself.
Section 5. The Suspects and Theories. Who was Dan Cooper?
Over the decades, the FBI questioned over 1,000 suspects. Let's look at one of the most prominent theories right here: Richard Floyd McCoy II. Just 5 months after Cooper, McCoy, who was a Vietnam vet and a skydiver, hijacks a 727, demands $500,000, and parachutes out. He was caught pretty quickly. Adding to the intrigue, in 2023, a skydiving logbook and parachute rig were actually recovered in North Carolina from his family's property, showing jumps in similar rugged regions. His own kids even stated they believe he was Cooper. However, there are major discrepancies we have to look at neutrally. McCoy's family insisted he was in Nevada on the day of the Cooper hijacking, giving him an alibi. Plus, DNA testing comparing McCoy to the evidence from Cooper's tie yielded totally inconclusive results, not a confirmed match. So it remains just a theory.
So why has this case been so impossible to crack? Really, it comes down to 2 major reasons. First, the witnesses. The passengers and crew gave conflicting estimates of Cooper's age, and the composite sketches based on their memories don't perfectly agree. Second, the environment. The primary drop zone in southwestern Washington is just incredibly rugged. It's this dense, unforgiving landscape of forests and mountains that has been known to swallow hikers, hunters, and downed aircraft without a trace. It easily could have swallowed D.B. Cooper.
Section 6. The Unsolved Mystery. A Case Without End.
After 45 years of chasing dead ends, the FBI officially suspended the investigation back in 2016. But that absolutely didn't stop the search, and this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between the closed official case and the tireless, ongoing work of citizen sleuths. Just recently, a quiet return of evidence in December 2025 reignited these debates all over again. The hunt is very, very much alive.
It remains the only unsolved hijacking in the history of American commercial aviation. It's a case that has outlived its original investigators, its original suspects, and very possibly the hijacker himself. So I want to leave you with this. Did he actually survive that freezing leap into the dark, or did the wilderness claim him and his $200,000? Who do you think D.B. Cooper really was? Let me know your theories down in the comments, and thank you so much for exploring this remarkable mystery with me.